I can't even talk straight. I am so exhausted. You know, I apologize for the lapse since making my last video. Um, if I recall, in my last video, I had just finished doing some sprint training on the track, and I mentioned that I had a terrible headache and a ringing in my ears, and so it turns out I had a pretty bad ear infection, or an earache caused by an infection. And as a result, I was out of commission for at least 4 or 5 days. I tried to sleep, but I don't know if you guys ever had a really bad earache. It's like someone's digging a pencil into your ear and pushing into your eardrum. And it's not a constant pain, but it's a surge. It comes in waves every 2 or 3 times a minute, maybe once a minute in the best case scenarios. And it's so painful, I couldn't sleep. The really frustrating part about it is I don't have insurance now. I can't afford it. And I couldn't go to a clinic. Although even if I did, it's all they need to do is prescribe some drops, air drops of an antibacterial solution. And fortunately for me, one of my clients is a doctor, and he went ahead and called in a prescription for me. And this tiny little bottle of air drops solution, antibacterial air drop solution, is $300, just under $300. But it worked. In 2 days, it went away completely. But I think even worse than the pain was the fact that because I couldn't sleep, because I was so exhausted, on Monday, I funded my brokerage account for stock market trading. And I've been practicing with simulation money for the past 2 months, and I turned $500 into, I think, just under $8,000. So I was pretty confident I can make some profit with paper money. And I saw a contract that had low risk but big return, an option contract for Apple stock. And I just felt so terrible. I was sitting at the computer and my head was bobbing back and forth, that I realized there's no way I can stay awake and sit at this computer and watch this stock carefully. Or even if I set an alert to let me know if it goes too far down for stop loss. I know this is stock talk that some people don't realize what I mean, but basically it's not easy to trade stocks when you're unconscious or sick. So I decided not to make any trades, and it's unfortunate because if I had made that trade for that particular option contract for $30, that contract went from $30 to $650 at its peak a few days later, before Friday's or Thursday's market crash. So I guess you can count Friday as well, because Friday it swung up and went back down. So sorry guys, the stock market stuff, I'm getting into it and it's fascinating for me. But yeah, I missed out on $3,000 because of this earache, and add another $200, almost $300 for some little bottle to fix the earache. The good news is I think it was Wednesday night at 2 or 3 in the morning, again, I couldn't sleep, I was in pain. I got an alert from my phone that I had a deposit in my account, and it was the $600 PUA. Shocking. So guys, I never filled out anything on a portal, so call DEO, not DUA, sorry. Call the Florida DEO, go online, keep checking. And as a matter of time perspective, I filled out my form back in, I think it was the end of March. I redid it again on the mobile app because I didn't get a confirmation on April 11th, but I'm fairly certain they're going by the one from March. So keep checking, guys. God willing, you guys are gonna get your funds. I hope, I really hope. I even have a sense of guilt that I got mine knowing others didn't get theirs. I mean, it's not my fault, I know, but the thought that anyone is out there not able to afford food or be able to afford to pay their bills is just distressing. What else? What else? I had to make a note of things because I knew after I did my workout today, I'll be feeling like I'm gonna curl. No portal. Yeah. Okay, so 5 minutes in, I wanted to give my perspective, being a former officer and a person of color, on the recent protests slash riots, and it really bothers me that a small segment of this, not even a segment, no, that's not even the right words. A movement was formed, a peaceful movement, demanding, not asking any longer, demanding for equality. And some people decided to take advantage of this movement, and these people were of different colors, different races, different backgrounds, and decided to take advantage of this movement and pillage and riot and steal. And you know, when I think it was 2017 in Charlottesville, when there was a white supremacy march going on, and there were Black Lives Matter marching in protest. There were more than a few videos showing the police basically doing little to nothing to control the KKK, or the white supremacist people. But the Black Lives Matter people were getting a bit more rough-handed. And when Trump had a chance to speak, he said that there were bad people on both sides. But I think it was a false equivalency. And in the recent protests, where they were making videos of the riots, there were more than a few videos that would suggest that some of the people trying to spark the riots were in fact either police officers or people working to specifically create a bad image of the Black Lives Matter movement. In 2016 and 2015, I don't remember when Black Lives Matter first came to be. I didn't like the name. I mean, the name was pretty obvious. It makes sense. Hey, please treat us as equally as you would treat others like yourselves. But I knew that the counter to this would be something like All Lives Matter or Blue Lives Matter. But I couldn't really think of a better name, so that's what stuck. And on Tuesday, on Tuesday, I'm sure some of you noticed that if you went through your social media feed on Instagram, I don't know if this happened in other social medias, you would see people posting a dark screen. And the hashtag that they were going by was something called Blackout Tuesday. Now, when I first saw it, I genuinely believed that this was a white supremacist conspiracy plot ploy to sort of constrict or restrict the flow of information on what's going on with the protests, because video saves a lot. I mean, let's be honest. If there wasn't any video of what happened to Ahmaud in Georgia, if there wasn't any video showing what happened to Floyd in Minnesota, we would never know. The video evidence is powerful, it's visceral. So many of us saw the blatant police brutality that was being brought onto peaceful protesters. And social media is the last bastion of truth, because the mainstream media, they are tainted simply by the fact that they're out for ratings, they're out for profit. They're run by a capitalistic model. throw in the extra bias of being overtly liberal or overtly conservative, and you've got the bias of money and you've got the bias of politics. There's a complete lack, or almost a complete lack, of objectivity. So this Blackout Tuesday thing I thought was profoundly asinine. Of course, come to find out, it was two black females that thought this up. And what I also found amusing was some people had to go on social media like AOC and say, hey guys, if you're gonna put this Black Tuesday post, don't hashtag it Black Lives Matter, protest, whatever, because then you're confusing the algorithm, and people who actually are trying to post pertinent information that's necessary to know what's going on, it's being drowned out by all these dark screens. Again, it's profoundly asinine, and to find out that some black female music artists were the ones that thought this idea up. So I just found it pretty stupid, really. But ironically, and this is the thing that white people can never fathom, even the most empathetic ones, it's hard for you to realize this. When I go online now and I look at people's profiles, when I see the dark screen in their history, I think, okay, there's one of two possibilities that they put that there. They truly are trying to be activistic, and they truly do care, and they truly are trying to voice their concerns for equality. Or it could be that they're just, what's the word I'm looking for? I forget the word I'm looking for. It's just trying to get attention. And I have a clip of a video of this, I don't know who she is, this female that walked out into the street. She was waiting for people in the protest to walk by. I mean, there wasn't a very large crowd, but she walked out in the street with a mask on, made sure her hair looked good, and then held up a sign, Black Lives Matters, while she was doing this with her hair to get a photographer to take a picture of it. Does she really believe? Maybe. Or maybe she's just a woke activist, is that what it's called? Just trying to jump on the bandwagon for attention. But you know what? Even if that's the case, hey, she may not be entirely sincere about her concerns about equality for people of color, but she's putting her voice out there. So two possibilities for those people who are making those posts, or any post in support of equality for people of color. But now, as a result of this, when I see people's feed and they post nothing, and even some people were somewhat original, and instead of posting just a dark screen, they posted, let's say, a dark screen with a very faded image of a white hand and a black hand holding each other's hands, or BLM or equality or something to that effect. They were more original than just a dark screen. But when I see people's profiles now with nothing on there, in my mind, it's one of three possibilities. The least likely possibility number one, is that they are so egregiously egocentric that they want their Instagram to be all about whatever it is that they're posting. If it's food, they're not gonna post anything except food. If it's them and their modeling pics, it's just gonna be them and their modeling pics. If it's their car, it's just gonna be a picture of just them and their car. Some people posted something and then took it away. I noticed that. So whatever. Egocentricity is the first possibility. The second possibility, and I think this is a little less likely, is that this is just someone who's just so bereft of what's going on in the world that it's not so much that they want to make their Instagram, social media, whatever, focused on a particular thing. It's just that that's all they're focused on. So I guess to some degree that's egocentricity, but I mean, on another factor of it is that they just don't realize what's going on around them. They're just oblivious to anything. And there are some people like that. I kid you not. I remember in 2008, I had mentioned, and this is when I was a police officer, I had mentioned to someone, it was a black male, and I was ordering food somewhere, and someone brought it up about President Obama. Before then, it was Senator Obama, I guess. And I said, there's a black guy who was half black who's going for president, a guy named Obama. And the guy goes, who? And this was maybe months away from the election. So this guy had no idea that who A, Obama was, and B, that he was even running for president. He's a black male. So some people are just completely oblivious to what's going on around them in the world. But again, I think that possibility is number one and number two, maybe 50% of the people. But there's number three. Number three is you're a racist. You're a racist. You don't agree with the movement. You might delude yourself into thinking that you're not a racist, but you are. And you don't agree with Black Lives Matters. You don't agree with the protests. You think that there's no need for the protest. When a white officer kills a black male who's unarmed and non-resisting, you'll make up excuses justifying why he should have done what he done, or she. And that's a racist. You're a racist. There's no one way or the other about that. So now there are calls to defund the police. And I know when some people hear that defund the police, they get panicky. They think one extreme. And the people who are calling for this, some of them do think to this extreme. So the people who are afraid of it may have some justification for this fear. So there's one extreme. One extreme is to just disband police completely. No more police officers. Community policing, voluntary policing, that kind of thing. I don't agree with that, and I'll explain why in a moment. The other extreme is obviously not defunding, but increasing funding of the police. And I think that's something that Biden and this guy, wow. Don't aim for the heart, aim for the leg. This is coming from a guy who I don't know if he goes to the range and shoots, but if you're over, say, 3 yards, 12 yards from your target, aiming for the leg is not that easy. And if that bullet ricochets up and hits someone else, whatever. So the other extreme is to increase the funding of police and make them more militarized. I don't agree with that either. And I shouldn't even have to explain why I don't agree with that, because that's the problem now. Now, why you shouldn't disband the police completely? Well, simple. People are idiots. I was an officer long enough to see that people are idiots. Whether they're rich Caucasians living in a gated community, or they are black people living in the ghetto of the ghetto. They don't know how to police themselves. They lack a great deal of common sense. So here's an example. I'm working out, even though the gym here near this parking garage is open, I chose to work out using my suspension trainer and do some ab work. I chose to work out outside because the cases of Charlie 19 are increasing in Florida and in some other places, and supposedly that's the reason why the stock market crashed again this week. And I just don't feel comfortable working out with a mask on my face. And if I had some semblance of confidence that the people in the gym would wipe down the equipment, would not cough with their mouth open, I might work out in the gym. But here's the thing, I'm misanthropic for a reason. I think most people are inconsiderate and lacking in common sense. They're idiots. And while I was working out, I had my suspension trainer strapped to a staircase, allowing me to, do the TRX-like training. Not one, but 2 idiots decided to park, despite the dozens of empty parking spaces around, they decided to park near me, blocking my battle rope where I was trying to work out. And also they would sit in the car with their car running, playing their music loud. So now I'm trying to work out with the stink of exhaust fumes. And even though I have my headphones on, I have to listen to some idiot in his car blasting his music. And the question I'm asking is, why did you park next to me? Like, listen, Here's an idiot that's talking loud, and he's probably easily, maybe I can't see because my car's in the way. They're probably easily maybe 300 feet away, and they're just obnoxious and loud. But that's Miami. People here are obnoxious, inconsiderate, and kind of stupid. I've actually seen the studies. Cognitive tests were done of people in Miami, and a great number of them have a lower cognitive skill, lower intellectual levels than the average, national average. I've also heard, interestingly enough, that in some neighborhoods, when kids go out to play and they're barefoot or they're not properly clothed, that there are certain parasites that exist in the water, and they spread through animal feces, and these parasites are not easily detectable, and when they enter into the body, they can cause some brain damage, lowering a person's IQ or cognitive abilities. So defunding the police, I think, should mean, for the most part, what it means is reallocating funds from, rather than expanding the police and their functions and their roles, to funnel that money into other resources that can tackle certain issues that officers shouldn't have to deal with. For example, again, for over 10 years I was an officer, I had to answer calls ranging from a child being rambunctious and boisterous in school, child that ran away from home that has autistic issues, domestic violence issues, loose dog, cat up in a tree. Yeah, we get those as well. Just a number of calls that I'm thinking, this is just not something that we should have to handle. Then we'll have to get multiple trainings for all kinds of situations, whether it's riot, whether it's a special response training, whether it's dealing with mental disorders, dealing with children, dealing with the elderly, dealing with a biohazard situation, just all these different scenarios. And for one thing, I would say that most cops are far too underpaid, but I also believe the same thing goes for teachers as well, and nurses, and but whatever. The roles of an officer is just too much. And also in defense of, not in defense of any officer committing murder, I'm just meaning in defense of officers that sometimes are just stressed out. It is a stressful job, and it's a thankless job. And even when I was an officer, the people who appreciated and liked other cops were usually conservatives, white people, really. Whenever I would deal with people of color, they would immediately give me the dirtiest looks. I can't tell you how many times I heard F the police, or F Foxtrot Alpha Gamma police officers, or whatever, all kinds of little jabs, names. I'll walk into a not fast food, but like I'll have lunch someplace like I forget where I used to have lunch, man. I don't know. I can't even think of it. I don't eat out anymore. A place like doesn't matter, whatever. And I'll get these dirty looks from black males, black females, whatever, because I was the sellout. So it's a thankless job, and there's a lot of stress involved. But at the same time, there's no excuse for doing the things that officers do because of that stress. You have to be the better person. And I've seen videos where there'll be two teenage black males walking, and they may say F the police or some smart remark, and it's two white officers, and they decide to go out and tackle these kids down and put them in cuffs and say that they're under arrest for jaywalking when they weren't really jaywalking. Were the police in the wrong for doing that? Absolutely yes. Did they have a right to do that because those black kids said some stupid comment? Absolutely no. Is it possible that those black kids could have just kept walking along and not had any issues if they just kept their mouths shut? Yeah. So there's two sides of stupidity here, and I think it's an American problem. I would love to hear from a European police officer or an Australian police officer. Let me know, do you have to deal with a lot of people of color in your country yelling at you, saying F the police or whatever. Now, again, I'm gonna reiterate what I said before. That does not get, the officers should have just kept going. They should have thicker skin. They should be the better person, especially that they're grown adults and they're in uniform, and these are just some stupid kids. But again, it takes a matter of both sides understanding. You know, I'm not saying the kids should be like, these cops are under stress. Even though that my people are being oppressed and treated unequally and treated bad and being killed for terrible reasons, I'm just gonna ignore these officers. Of course, these kids are angry and they wanna express their anger. But I'm saying if things are gonna improve in this country, there has to be a certain introspective maturity that everyone's gonna have to engage in. Reallocate the funds. No, don't disband the police completely, but reallocate the funds. But let's all be honest. The criminal justice system is not broken. It's working perfectly fine. It's working as it was designed to work. It was designed from the ground up back in the 1800s after the abolishment of slavery. It was designed to control people of color, minorities, and the poor, and to empower and maintain the power of the rich. That's why a rich white person can commit a crime, an egregious crime, and get away with it, or be given a very, very light charge, whereas a person of color cannot commit any crime or commit a very minor crime and receive life sentence. Because that's the way the system was designed. So you can change the way police works all you want. You can cancel police shows all you want. You can make every police officer wear body cams all you want. It's just a band-aid on a wound of racism that was designed to be in the system. To fix the system, you're gonna have to expunge and start over from the ground up. And I don't know how that can be done when just about every institution in this country, from finance to real estate to education to criminal justice to the court system, it's all designed around racism. It's like trying to remove a tumor without killing the subject, the patient. I don't know. Racism is a cancer, and if chemotherapy is needed, I think so much of it is needed that it might kill the patient. I don't know, guys. That was my perspective. I did get a comment from someone to send you a text. I'm sorry about that, brother. I will do that tomorrow. I've just been busy trying to take care of a bunch of other things. All right? Have a great weekend, everyone. I hope you're doing well. I hope you receive some of your funds. Bye.